Well, hello there, and welcome back. I just want to tell you before we get into this episode that this is not investing advice. Do your own research. Do not buy something because some schmuck on YouTube told you it was a good idea. That is never a good idea. I've lost a lot of money that way. All that said, I got a lot of fun things for you. It's a good episode. Let's go! What's up? Welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. This is update number 6 in this process of making some money at the poker table and then trying to figure out how to invest it. It was a big week. I've got an exciting update for you, starting with poker. So I went out and played some 3-5. The session went very well. I ended up making $2,000 in profit, which takes us from a spot where we barely had any profit for the year to now we're back into this realm of we're almost overperforming. If you remember the last update, we were making on average $2 an hour and some change, and I said, this will not last. Eventually this will turn around. Well, it turned around in a huge way. Let's talk about the numbers. We went from making $2 an hour to $92.50 per hour, well above the average of approximately $68. So we're on the high side now. I'm assuming this will come back down. Just like I told you, hey, don't worry, this will come back when it was at $2 an hour. Now that we're at $92.50, I'm going to tell you, hey, we're probably on the high side. Chances are we're going to come back down to earth a little bit and be closer to that average, that 68 to 70. So here's the sessions I've played. You can see that I have 2 big wins at the Pearl, 3 small losses at Quest. Here, I've got them separated out in this chart. You can see that the Pearl, we're up $3,045, and at Quest, we're down $1,010. That'll change. I don't know why they're so separated right now, why I'm losing at one and winning at the other, but it's a very small sample size, right? 5 sessions. Things are going to even out over time. All right, so let's go to the trend overall. You can see it was a pretty weird start, really exciting. Horrible drop there, almost down to 0, and then shooting right back up. But if you were to average that out, we're doing okay. I'd probably expect, some kind of flattening out. We don't expect to just fire like that to the moon every single time, but a good result. Our previous all-time high was $1,045, and now you can see that we are at $2,035. So it's $990 profit from the last time that I booked a win, or my previous all-time high, up to the current all-time high. So what I did is I took $495 and invested that into the account. So let's go jump over to the account really quick, and we'll take a look at where the balances are at. But before we do that, I want to show you a chart. All right, so here's a chart of the QQQ, and I wanted to talk through this really quick, and then we'll get into the trading account. So if you guys remember the last time I was talking to you, I was saying that I was holding those short positions. We've got all this bad market news. I keep waiting for the markets to fall, and it wasn't happening. So this is a mistake of just taking all this bad news and assuming it's going to instantly translate into a direction for the market. And I think that was a big mistake I was making. So I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go with what the market is doing, what it's telling us, knowing that the bad news is there, being flexible and ready to pivot quickly, but I need to make a change. So during this down, you can see it hit here and then it went down, and I held this position. So I was gaining on the way down here. It took this bounce and started to come back up. I thought it would go back down through, and it did not. It bounced a second time right here, and then it went up in this direction. Now, I've drawn some lines that I think will be resistance. These are some previous points where you can see that we hit here, and then came back through, and I think this is going to be found as some resistance. I think if it breaks through this, we're going to see another point of resistance, and that's if you take these 2 high points here and tie them together. I think there's more resistance right here that is likely. So now if this chart goes through and breaks, I think it's just going to keep going. I could be wrong. I would say pretty likely that there will be a little bit of a sell, but then if it's through there, it's probably going to keep going. I would say if it does not, if it rejects here, I think we'll see a little bit of a bounce and a retest, though I could be wrong there as well. And then if it rejects off of this, it'd be interesting to see how it interacts with this potential, these 2 levels together here, where it could do a little bit of sideways action and then make up its mind either up or down. So I'm really watching to see. Let me go ahead and clear those out. But I'm really watching to see what happens here, because I think this move right in here is going to help determine what I'm going to do next. If by any chance it bounces, breaks, and goes through this line right here, this channel that it's been in, the parallel channel, I think this is really where I'm going to pile in and get short again. If it happens to go through these, I'm going to get a bigger long position. And because I think that if it breaks through and holds in this parallel channel, I don't see a way that it doesn't continue bullish at least for a while until we get some really big news. So while all this is going on, our economic news continues to be sour. It continues to be ugly. And I don't think there's much to hang your hat on and say, hey, this is a great time for a bull market. So I will tell you that I'm very uncomfortable. I don't like taking this bull position, but I'm really trying to follow the markets rather than just go with what I think is coming eventually, because I'm going to miss out on all the potential upside. Well, it's like this. So if you go to this chart, let me clear some of this off again. But I took a short position back in here somewhere, and I got to enjoy all of this. But then I held on to my short position because I was like, it's still going down. The news is so negative, and I lost through all of this. So I gave back basically everything that I had made. I mean, I have some profit, right? It wasn't horrible. There's some level here of difference, but I gave so much of it back because I was like, it's too negative. It can't turn. It's going to turn down again. And so every time it started to turn, I was like, okay, suspicion confirmed. We're going back down. And it would bounce and it would head up and it would bounce and it would head up. And I got stubborn and I kept holding. So a big mistake I made was just, I'm going to follow the news and not the markets. Eventually the news will catch up to these markets, I think. But until this starts making a move down again, there's no reason for me to hold this bearish sentiment in position and lose money while I'm waiting for it to actually do what I want it to do. So I've sold out of those positions, holding and waiting. Meanwhile, the news is terrible, especially if you're watching like Evergrande or Country Gardens out of China. The news in China is very poor, and I think that will affect the global economy at some point. As of right now, we're kind of pretending like things are fine. We continue to say, hey, there's reasons to be excited. There's a big push with AI where NVIDIA and some of these other tech companies continue to see this push because AI, is potentially altering future revenues. That said, I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think it continues for much longer with all the bad news we're getting. Last time I gave you an update on the account, we had $8,706. Right now we have $9,064. So we're up a bit, but again, you can see in this chart that I gave some money away through here. That was holding some of those short positions and the volatility positions, expecting them to do well. Meanwhile, the markets just continue to go illogically higher, and you know what? I'm no longer fighting it. We've decided we're not going to fight it anymore. We're going to roll with it, and we're going to see what happens.